Okay, welcome everyone. Today we're exploring a topic that becomes increasingly important as we move through our 40s, 50s, 60s, beyond. How to keep moving, building strength, trusting our bodies, and even when they no longer respond to what they used to respond to in our 20s. One of the biggest myths I hear is that exercise has to become gentler and smaller and less ambitious as we age. While our bodies do change, that doesn't mean that we stop challenging them. And it means we learn to challenge them more intelligently, more wisely. And muscle is one of the greatest investments that we can make for our long term health. It supports metabolic health, bone density, balance, confidence, independence, all of that. And yet, women, many women that I know and I coach, find themselves caught between fear of injury, lack of confidence, old beliefs that run in our heads, and frustration that what used to work no longer works. And that's why I wanted to bring someone in today whose work I do admire and who opened her aerial and pole fitness studio in Ringwood for women to explore their potential, build confidence, challenge themselves, and find a community of like-minded women. So today's guest is my own pole and aerial instructor, Lim-How, who's multi-award winning aerialist, and she has spent years helping people build strength, coordination, body awareness, and confidence. And I've experienced her work firsthand, and one of the first things I appreciate the most is her ability to meet people where they are and still encouraging them to discover what they're capable of. So I'm very, very grateful and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk on this topic today. So, and everything that you've said, I already resonate with as someone who is aging myself and has been doing this for a long time, both personally and professionally. And even myself, I've witnessed how my own body's changed over time and what I was able to do in my 20s versus my, 30s, like early 30s to late 30s, and, what my future's going to look like as an aerialist in my 40s, 50s, and hopefully beyond.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So, our conversation, my intention for that isn't about just convincing everyone to take
Mm.
up aerials. It's
Yeah.
it's about exploring what it means to keep challenging ourselves physically and
Mm.
why strength matters far beyond appearance, right? It's not
Yeah.
about that only. How to overcome those mental barriers that we've got that stop us from starting sometimes or from keep going, and how movement can become something we look forward to rather than something
Yes,
we
right.
force
Rather than a
ourselves to do.
chore. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And so for me, I'll just, mention my personal experience
Mm.
when I realized that I do need to build up my muscle when I hit perimenopause, like early 40s, a few years ago now.
Mm.
And I realized that I have lost quite a bit of muscle mass and fat distribution happened. And I've never been a gym person. I know that we're all different. I'm not opposed to that. It's just
Mm.
personally for me, that wasn't the case. That didn't spark any joy. It was a chore, and it was like a punishment. So I've always worked out at home, but it wasn't enough. Obviously, we need to
Yeah.
push ourselves, and we need to
Mm.
have some guidance. Even though I'm a health professional, I do lack that aspect my knowledge. So I found out your studio. So I started pole before, and then I got introduced to Lyra and silks, and oh my god, it's not that it's easy. It looks
It is a
beautiful, and there is a
challenge.
lot
Yeah.
of sweat, tears, and some discomfort and pain, but it is so fun. It is so
It is.
joyful, and being part of the community, it's amazing that you're
Yeah.
not on your own. So it's so great that you created that, and
Oh, thank
yeah.
you. Thank you. Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's about finding what's rewarding for you and what you enjoy doing. Because if you don't enjoy doing it, why are you doing it? Yeah, why? That's what I
Yeah.
always say. So, yeah.
Can I just dive straight into the
Mm.
juicy bits? So I run a program for women that is called Metabolic Restoration, and we talk a lot about muscle as a metabolic organ, as an endocrine organ that helps us stabilize our blood sugar levels, modulate hormones. And we talk a lot about grip strength as
Mm.
kind of this foundational aspect of our strength in general. And there is a lot of grip strength both in Lyra and Silks and Pole as well. So why is that so important? So do you have can you give us some more understanding of why this is the grip strength is so crucial for us as human beings, even not even for women only?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very interesting question. I think it's just fundamentally important for what like history. So if we kind of go back to, back in the early days or, way back when in the prehistoric times, and they often talk about how like, your bodies have evolved or how evolution has kind of come from, the monkey stage and how we've then always gone into, where we are today, sitting at desks and doing all of that.
Mm.
But I think like just being active and the basics, using your hands was something that we used to do so often. It's still something that we do. We're always, typing on computers or we're texting on our phone, etc. I wouldn't say it's necessarily grip strength, but using our hands and our fingers is really important. So from an aerial perspective, I always say that, the bare basic thing is it's keeping you safe. Um, the ability to hold on or to grip and to trust your grip strength as well, so that you can fly through air or so that you can move and know that you are going to keep yourself safe. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's a very interesting question. I don't know if I have the exact answer on that one. But yeah, I think from an aerial perspective, that's the one thing I can probably answer. And I will say it is so important and to keep you safe, but also it's going to build with time. So it's one of those things where it's not a skill that we practice very often in our day-to-day lives.
No.
Very rarely are we, the last time that outside of an aerial class or outside of a gym setting or anything fitness related, where you're really in a position where you're hanging on for dear life. So I think it is a bit more of a learned skill with what we do, um, how we have developed as a society now compared to the prehistoric times where perhaps you had to rock climb to get to the berries or you had to climb trees, etc. Like how often are we doing that now? Next to never, because we've got shops and it's not a safety thing for us unless we are putting ourselves into that setting. So, for example, a class or a an aerial class specifically, or a pole class, or yeah, or even potentially a gym setting where you are holding weights and having to build that grip strength to be able to hold that weight, not just in your arms and your muscles and everything else and in your body, but even just in your fingers.
Just the hands,
Yes,
yes.
just
And
in your hands.
I think it does stop for us, for modern humans, in primary school, like end
Yeah.
of primary school, we
Yes.
stop
Yeah.
hanging,
So as
right?
adults, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
when you get
and
to high school, there's no monkey bars.
no, well, maybe they do something, but it's very
Yeah.
limited to whatever phys
Hmm.
ed they've got.
Yeah.
But also in the past, I remember from my childhood, I don't know if you remember that, but adults used to carry their shopping. Like there
Yes.
was fewer cars in the streets and they
Yeah.
would walk to milk bars or to the
Yeah.
closest shop and they would carry that. So we stopped even
Hmm.
doing that. It's just like 30 seconds from the door of the shop to the car. And that's
Exactly.
that.
Or you get it delivered, which like in two
Or
hours,
even you
my
get a trolley to the car. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right? You wouldn't even
100%. You're
carry all that
so
anymore.
right. You're so right. And it's funny, even like when I am carrying my shopping, and if it is really heavy, I'm one of those determined people. I was like, I'm going to carry it all at once. I don't want to do multiple trips. So I will but I will trust my grip strength. And when it is weaning and I'm like, got my shopping from one A to B, and I'm like, I'm stronger than this. I'm determined. So,
And I think that's a good thing to kind of, I don't know, incorporate that in your teaching, maybe, because I do
mm,
encourage people to park as far as possible from the entrance to the shops to walk because walking is
Yeah,
important. So that's your extra
agreed.
steps that you probably, count
Yes, tracking.
during the day, and then carry your shopping. And then you need
Mm.
to know how to do it safely, right? Because we're so
Mm.
out of touch with that, with the grip, with what the core muscles
Yeah,
must
yeah.
do. So, and I know you teach that because
Best
that's a
technique for it.
safety. Yes, there is
Mm.
a technique. So, and that's your opportunity. That's what I'm saying to my women. That's your opportunity to practice that during the day. Yeah, you would go
Yeah,
shopping maybe
it's a
every second
really
day.
valid point.
So it is a good idea to remind people,
Mm.
like when you shop, you can just carry that. Don't use the trolley. I do mention that to all my clients because I do promote a lot of movement, just for circulation. Yeah, for circulation of blood, of
Absolutely.
lymph, of everything. So
And it can be wrapped into everyday life. It's just about making those choices.
correct. Yes, we need to weave it in because it's impossible to just, we're already overloaded with a lot of tasks in our lives,
Yeah.
and to create some extra for this and that, it's just overwhelming.
It
And
is.
yeah, so little things, they do count, they do build up your strength. And that's kind of this next question that I wanted to touch upon, that why, consistency matters, right?
Mm.
Over, intensity. So, what do you see with your clients, right? Who who stick around and who get results, but who have to maybe do it slowly? And what are your words of encouragement, and what is your kind of experience with all of this?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I would probably start with my words of encouragement. And I would say, like, one thing I often say to people is, first and foremost, enjoy the process, have fun, embrace the challenge because it's so rewarding on the other side. We probably live in a society now where we want instant gratification. We're so short, with like scrolling and all our 30-second videos and things, like we always want something straight away. But there's something so rewarding about working really, really hard for it. And everyone's going to achieve things in different stages. They're going to achieve things. Some people, are blessed and they are going to get there really quickly. And some people have to work really hard for it. But I think, yeah, as long as you can accept that challenge and I always feel like when you work harder for it, it's so much more rewarding because you know where you started. Even in classes, I'll often say to people, I'll be like, I want you to film things so that it can only just be for you. It doesn't have to go anywhere. It doesn't have to go on social media. It can just so that you can see where you started, how it's going, because it's different sometimes on how it looks versus how it feels. So, sometimes you can feel an improvement and sometimes you can't feel that improvement. Sometimes it's only going to come from being like having that visual reference and going, well, the bar was over here last time and now it's up here. So you can physically see that, or you can see you're pulling your body up a lot higher this time, or yeah. So I often say that to people. Um, when it comes, the original question you also asked about,
The
what again? It was
consistency. Yeah,
consistency.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think in order to show improvement, consistency is going to be key because very rarely are people just, you know, naturally good at something. And if they are naturally good at something, it's like I say, it's kind of not as rewarding. Um, so being consistent means that you're going to build the muscle safely. You're going to keep yourself safer. You're going to enjoy the reward of how hard you've worked to get there as well. I think it means that you don't take it for granted. Sometimes we'll see some people that are naturally blessed or, come prior experience elsewhere and they will fly through the levels. And you just kind of feel like, I shouldn't necessarily say this, but those people that tend to fly through the levels are the ones that we actually see end up more injured if they end like when it, like yeah. And I think it's because they're flying through, their muscles aren't really having the time to build the solid foundation required to keep them training safely constantly.
That
So
makes a
I
lot of
think that's,
sense. Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think it is, it's basic. I guess it goes even down to, like, when you're little, or children, like kids are more accident prone, or, yeah, even when they're walking and things like that, because they haven't learned to walk for such a long time. And then when you come to us, where, we walk all the time and we're not falling over left, right, and center. And that's because it's a learned, like, our body's now got built the muscles to support us, that if we wobble on our feet, we can recover from that. Okay. So you need to do that consistently. If you all of a sudden stopped walking for months at a time, like months, and then you were in a position where you needed to walk again, you are going to then have to retrain your body for it. It's not conditioned for it. So I think, like, even on its bare basic, rules when
Mm.
it comes to walking, those rules still apply to every muscle in the body, everything that you're generally doing. If it's not something that you're practicing, then you're not going to, um, yeah, achieve it in a way, and at
Yeah.
least achieve it
Yeah.
in a safe way. And yeah, it applies. It
Yeah.
applies in this instance too. So yeah, that's consistency for you.
Absolutely. And again, I'm going to make some comments from my
Mm,
personal experience as well, that it didn't come quick for me. I hadn't had any upper body strength whatsoever when I came to
which is
Pole
common,
Aerial.
because as adults, when and where would we find that from?
Yeah,
Yeah, like, it's just not something that comes naturally to us, and especially women as well. Like, women, we do have to work harder to build muscle as well, and make more of a conscious effort. Not all
especially
women. There
with
are some.
hormones, hormone
Yes.
levels going down. It's a totally different chemistry. It's a totally
Hmm.
different game. I mean, men go through their hormonal changes as well, but it's a little bit different for us.
Different.
And so I was going to say that it does take. It took me a couple of years. 2 years to build, not even a couple of months, not even a couple of
Yeah.
terms, yeah, to get to the point where I'm a little bit content now with
Mm.
what I can do.
Yeah.
Right. And with what is achievable now. And also for women who are kind of at the start of their perimenopausal journey right
Mm.
now, I would suggest jump on it right now, because then we have, I mean, there is a lot in the literature about frozen shoulder issues, right? And that's because we just stop using the upper body. We
Hmm.
are at our computer, yeah, doing something.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
all pretty
Hunched
much the
over.
same. We can even cook with just doing,
Mm.
minimal movement here.
Yes.
We can do a lot of daily chores without even lifting our shoulders
Mm.
much, right? Unless you just get something from the top shelf
Yeah.
in the kitchen,
Exactly. Like,
but that's
everything's
it,
built. We've built our world
right?
around convenience, and the
Yeah,
convenient thing is to not have to lift up and
no,
flail and use this upper body rotation. Yeah.
right? We have back scratches. We don't have to
Yeah.
do anything. Like
Yes. Right.
we're so smart, and
Yes.
right.
We have
So
evolved
just
to that degree, but perhaps to our detriment in the long run.
right. So just jump at this now before anything may develop, right?
Mm.
Your body will say thank you later. And I have an interesting question. So, and that's a very common one because I work with a lot of people who carry a bit of weight on them, extra weight. And what would be your advice to a woman who says, I'll start exercising once I've lost weight? And I mean, exercising as in like aerial stuff or something
Yeah.
more intense.
Yeah, I so often hear it, and it's so common. People go, "Oh, I'll do that. I'll try that when I'm fitter, or when I'm slimmer, or whatever." But I'm like, well, you got to find something that you're enjoying to, like. Or I say this because I'm that person. I'm hypermobile by nature, so I'm not someone who naturally builds muscle. I really have to work for it, and I find as a result, I really don't enjoy your traditional muscle ways. Like, I need to almost trick myself into exercise. I need to find something fun and challenging, and keep my mind off what else is happening in my body. If I'm just sitting there in the gym doing leg presses or lifting weights, like, I can really feel that burn, and I feel I'm not enjoying that reward coming. Like, some people go, oh, I enjoy that. I find that burn really rewarding. I am not that person. That is not me. I'm like, this is awful. Why am I doing this? So I think it's about finding something that is going to keep you fit, make you fit. So no matter what that is. And so, like, in my personal experience, and maybe it's because I am more aerially inclined, and that is now my world, and I'm not necessarily going to the gym and as often as, when I was younger, but I tend to find that the people, they're not like people that say, oh, I'll do it when I'm slimmer, I'll do it when I'm fitter, etc. They're not necessarily taking the step to find something that's going to make them fit or to make them slimmer, because they're not enjoying the traditional formats of that, being the
Mm.
gym, etc. So I'm like, just find something fun for yourself. Find something that keeps you active. And it doesn't have to be pole and aerials. It can be anything. Go try an adult soccer. Go try, adult dance classes. Do anything. Anything that keeps you active, even if it's just going for a bit of a walk all the time. Go for it. Like, find what you enjoy. Find your outlet, because the moment you enjoy it, you're going to do it. And when you are doing it, that's when you'll find that those consistency and those rewards that come from that, being that you will get fitter, and you will potentially lose the weight, or you will just find yourself just feeling better. Because, like, I think this idea of am I fit enough, am I slim enough, am I, all of that thought process, I think it comes down to, like, it's your personal opinion. It's about how you feel. I can put on heaps of weight, and, like, being a woman, and I am in my late 30s, like, in any time in a month cycle, my weight's going to go like this and that. I've come to accept, I've learned that the hard way, but I have to accept that that's out of my control no matter what I do. I'm just at that age where it's out of my control, but it's about how I feel. If I'm feeling crappy, I could be like showing on the scales as being really low, but if I'm feeling crap, then that's not great. So
Yeah.
yeah, for me, it's all just about finding something fun for you, no matter what your outlet is, and how you feel about it.
That's
Yeah.
right. And there are kind of 2 points that we can break down these two. First is comparisonitis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there is no comparisonitis in your studio. I
No.
noticed that.
Yeah, we are
Um, yeah, there are
blessed
a
to
lot of
find that.
women of different shapes, different ages, right? From very young, their 20s till I've seen late 40s and early 50s there. And yes, they're all kind of embracing where they're at.
Mm.
And I think it's very beautiful. So that's number one. And classes like that, I think they help us. I mean, I've definitely gone through comparisonitis thing, and I had big cries in the car after classes at the start of my journey
Yeah.
because like, what the F? I
Yeah.
can't do anything. My
I
body
can't
wouldn't
do it. It's
just do it.
frustrating. It's
It's
frustrating
frustrating, and all the
sometimes.
girls are
Yeah.
doing it, and I can't do it.
Mm.
So yes, that kind of slowly, gradually goes out of the door, right?
Agreed.
And then there is this fluctuation of weight for women, which is normal, which like you described your like little sine wave, which is
Yeah.
within a month. And for perimenopausal and menopausal women, that sine wave is like for a couple of years,
Mm.
right? And that is super frustrating when it just goes up and you do all the right things. And again, within my program, we do talk about all the nutritional things and mindset. There is a lot of mind play at work there, and we kind of unpack that. So being aware that it's normal, that there is
Yes.
the end to that, yeah. So
Yes. And
you will regain good weight,
mm,
at the end when you do all the right things and especially maintaining your muscle mass.
mm,
And while I agree with you completely that, you need to start small, if you've been sedentary for years, start doing walks, 20
mm,
minutes, 30 minutes, build it up. However, they don't build the muscle mass. And that's kind of what
no.
I want to convey to women. It's you
Mm,
need to do something more. And why I'm with you, I don't like the burning, I don't like the gym, I don't like the weights, but they're needed. I haven't really embraced that myself, but with the
same.
body weight training, so why I like aerial
Mm,
fitness is the body weight because you're using your body weight instead of weights. And this is the slower path. It is very, very slow because initially you can only like lift yourself 1 centimeter for one
yeah.
second, and that's your progress. And it
Mm,
sucks. And Normally, no
Yes.
one is happy with that. But
Yes.
again, it's a long-term game, right? We're here for life.
Agree.
It's not like,
Agree.
dropping the weight and yeah, for, whatever, for a wedding or
Mm.
something. It's maintaining good muscle mass. So yes, I think that's the biggest benefit of
Yeah.
what you're doing. And
Agree.
also, there was this question because we kind of talked about a few aspects that we wanted to touch upon, and there was the fear factor. So, what role does fear play? Like fear of falling, fear of injury, fear of looking silly, that sort of thing.
I think it does play a big part. So, I often joke, I have a little one and I say, I'd be like, he'll be fine, he bounces. Like kids, and when you are younger, you recover so much quicker. As an adult, you tend to recover slower, but not just that, but we feel the ramifications of it. So, if we injure ourselves or we're putting ourselves on the line where we risk injury, we know what that's going to mean. We know what we have coming up in our next couple of weeks or next couple of months and how that's going to hinder it. And that probably plays a part in the decision at the time. We risk assess things. So we go, oh, I could go and I could try this, but then what if the worst case scenario happens? What if I, fall and then I hurt myself and then I can't go, I'm supposed to go on my trip next week or something like that. So fear definitely plays a massive part. I think at the right studio, so for us at our studio, we always, safety is our utmost like priority. We have specific matting, like our whole room, especially in the aerials I will speak of, because it is probably the more riskier room in a way where you are going from height, whereas at least in pole, there's no padded floors. We do have crash mats and things available. There's no need for padded floors because you're only a step off the ground traditionally, and it's only when you build up to a certain degree, where your muscles have built to a certain degree, do you end up a lot higher up the pole, or you end up doing tricks that are riskier. But we'll stepping stone that and introduce that slowly when the muscles are ready for it, not early stages. Whereas in aerials, in probably your first 3 weeks, we are trying to consider getting you into the bottom of the bar, which is potentially a meter off the ground or a little or higher. So we want to make sure that safety is at the forefront there. And we at our space, we have everything adjustable, so we can take things all the way down. It doesn't have to be a meter off the floor if you can't, or if you get to a stage where you can go higher, great, we'll take it off up a little bit higher. But we also have like that padded floor, etc. So we try and minimize the safe, like minimize risk as much as we can in the aerial space, or throughout the whole studio, but using aerials specifically. Yeah, and so sometimes I just have to point that out to students. Like they'll sit
Yeah.
there and you can see them thinking, and they're looking at what I'm doing and then asking what I'm asking them to do, and they're looking at it, and you can see the cogs turning in their head, and their risk analysis, analyzing it in their head, going, "Oh, I don't think this is a good idea for me today." And I will often say to them, I'll be like, if you're for whatever reason today you're feeling like that's not your challenge today, and it's not the right challenge for you today, then that's okay. But I will always try and go and talk to them about if I notice that they're not doing it. And sometimes I do have to kind of point out those little things that, be like, well, it's a really padded floor. Let's talk about what worst case scenario is. I often reference that our bodies are naturally inclined to protect us. So even when we fall, not saying we fall often in our aerials, but just in general life, if you fall, your body will fall in a way that will protect you. Very rarely do you fall and go, ah, and keel over backwards. That's not how we naturally, our bodies are not built to do that. Well, 99% of us. There have been the one or two occasions where I've gone, oh, I would have been, most people tuck and roll. You're not a tucker roller. That's okay. But we will, yeah, your bodies will learn to protect yourself. So I often, I reference that, and I talk about that, where it might feel fearful, I'll be like, all right, we've got 3 points of contact onto the aerial hoop. So I might be like, all right, we've got your hands. In order to fall off, you would have to take both hands off at the same time. And what are the chances of you doing that? Because what's going to happen if you do that. So you're not going to do that. Even if worst case scenario, you're finding that you're slipping, yell for me. I'll come and I'll help you down. So I often talk about our contact points, our grip points, what is keeping us on. What is like what muscles are being built and what muscles so we learn to trust our bodies. Yeah, I think trust is a really important factor in it. And it's fair because outside of primary school, when was the last time that we were asked to do some of the things that, you might be exploring in a pole and aerial class? Very rarely do we do that as adults.
Yeah. So that's a very important point. And I've been, witnessing that,
Mm.
that it's super safe. And in 2 years at your studio, I actually haven't seen anyone falling, but
No,
obviously it may happen. But, it's so,
it's
so
true.
rare because there is a lot of teaching that
Mm.
instructions going on about how to perform
Yes.
things. And
And
even if we
we
start,
always train our staff for like, safety, etc. Like I know how to
yeah,
spot, I know what the core contact point is. So although, in any particular move, I know where I need to be as an instructor in order to keep you safe. So that because I'll know that if this leg were to lift up in this direction and that's like they're going to be in trouble. So I'm always
mm,
hovering in the right direction before I teach any trick. And that's all of our staff, and any good pole and aerial staff will have had the training to teach you safely how to do
yeah,
things.
yeah. And there are two kind of interesting, fun questions. First is what
Mm,
surprises beginners the most about what their bodies can do, right?
mm,
Because when we like look at you, showing a new trick, and I'm like, oh my God, that's just not going to happen.
yeah,
So, and sometimes there is a surprise that we can actually do
yeah,
this.
yeah.
And about muscles, what muscles do we underestimate the most when
Hmm.
when we
When we start.
start? Yeah.
Yeah. So to answer the first question, actually, no, I'll go to the second question, and
Yeah.
then you might need to
Okay.
repeat the first
Yeah.
question for me. But the second question about which muscles do we underestimate the most? Like, I think most people understand that they're going to need their arm muscles, and their arm muscles are not as conditioned. So they perhaps go, oh, we know that's coming for us. But I would actually say your hip flexors are really, really vital and really important for a lot of what we do. And they're not something that we traditionally condition. People know about your core muscles and your lower abdominals, etc. But your hip flexors play such a strong part in ability to lift your leg or to kick your leg, or to move in a particular direction and to rotate. So I would say that's the muscle that people most underestimate. And I think it's probably because a lot of them are like, I don't even know what a hip flexor is. I didn't know that I needed it. Uh, yeah, or that it existed. So often people be like, oh, I'm getting really uncomfortable in this particular area, but what is that? Be like, well, usually it's your hip flexor or your quad or yeah. So I would say a lot of people underestimate that, well, or are a bit shocked and awed when I'm like, there is this thing called a hip flexor, and we're going to strengthen it, and we're going to do that really early in your journey. They're very much like, what? um,
I can attest to that.
yeah, I can see you nodding along because I reckon
Yes.
I've had this conversation with you. And then the first question, sorry, you're going to have to repeat it so I can at least not ramble on and make myself clear.
Yeah, that's it. So we talked about the muscle and
Yeah.
what surprises beginners the most about their
Oh, yes.
bodies.
Yeah.
What they can
Um,
do, what they think they can't do,
what
but
they
they
can do.
they can do.
Yeah. Um, I would say what surprises them the most is how quickly they develop. I think there is a certain amount of determination you need, like, but no, you can't expect to be good at anything the first time you try it. Like, that's so, so rare. And if you're good at it the first time you try it, then that's great. But like, how much more rewarding will it be if you're not good at it? And then you can keep going with it. So I think there needs to be a certain level of determination. And I always admire my students that do remain determined. They're the ones that I will cheer on the hardest, and they're the ones that I will deliberately go and give a pat on the back to at the end of class, because I know how hard they've worked for something, and I know how difficult it could have been, and how daunting it would have been to start with, because it's not naturally coming. It's not coming naturally to them.
No.
Um, yeah, so I would say how quickly they develop. I often say, especially in pole and aerials, consistency is key there. And I would say it takes at least 3 lessons before you see a difference or you feel a difference. And we do have measurable differences. The ability to get in and hook into a lyra or to mount the pole versus the first class where perhaps you really were struggling to lift your body weight, etc., and to get up and in, or where we might go with your grip strength, where we might say, all right, let's the first 2 classes, we've had our legs on the floor, and we're like, all right, let's lift the legs now and let's just see. Let's just see. But you're not going to know unless you try. Worst case scenario, you're going to put your legs back down. That's your natural body's instinct to protect yourself. You're not going to be like, oh, I can't do it. Like no one's going to do that. You're just going to pop your legs down. So if you're getting uncomfortable, put your legs down, that's okay. But yeah, for me, I would say it's definitely how quickly people develop. And it really is like 3 hours is not a long time in the grand scheme of things. Could you imagine if you started a brand new job and you were great at it in 3 hours? Like, you'd be stoked, right? You'd be like, oh, I'm killing it halfway through the day, and I'm doing a great job. So same rules kind of apply, except it's just broken down because we do traditionally, most people do 1 class a week, or they'll do 1 hour. That's the maximum we would encourage you to do. We're not going to encourage you to do 3 hours because in a row, because that's just unachievable, and it's not going to be it's not going to be a productive 3 hours. So if you were to be able to do something and learn how to do things and go from really struggling with it to doing it well in just 3 hours, you'd be stoked. But it can feel a little bit harder because you're splitting those 3 hours across 3 weeks potentially. Yeah. But yeah, I would just say, like, stay determined with it. And as long as you're enjoying it, that's all that matters. Yeah. Because if you had fun while you were doing it, you're not going to, like, yes, you're going to feel the challenge, you're going to feel the burn, you're going to feel the next day, but you are going to want to come back. Yeah, I feel like you're going to want to come back if you enjoyed it, because you're like, well, that was fun. I'll see you next week. If you didn't enjoy it, you weren't having fun with your exercise, it's kind of like the gym. So I feel like there's only a handful of people that really enjoy the gym, and those are the people that are going to go back all the time. And they're the ones that enjoyed it and went, I loved this, I can't wait to come back.
Yeah.
So you got to find that thing that you go, I love this, I can't wait to come back. And that could be anything. It could be anything. But, if you can do it in a way, like, it could be Pilates. Pilates builds muscles. It could be a reformer, could be hot mat. Like, yeah, could even yoga. Could be anything.
Not as no, that's a very,
Not
very
as
slow journey. You
intensive.
need to,
Yes,
yeah, there
it
is some
is
body
a lot
weight in
slower.
yoga and Pilates
Yes.
100%,
Yeah.
but there is also kind of an element of this childlike play. And it,
Mm.
for women,
Oh,
especially
it
in
is.
the later life, there is a lot of
Yeah.
anxiety, there a lot of lack of confidence, and it kind of
Yeah.
connects them back to that playfulness, because when you
Agreed.
hang, it is a play. It is so much fun just
It
just hanging
is.
on, even if you don't get
Agreed.
in.
And exactly. Yeah, just hanging and having fun. And even, like, I feel like there is and perhaps this is just my journey, that, and I know it's not everyone's journey with kids and things, but, when we're younger, we're really playful, and then we kind of pause before we get to this perimortal phase where we are having children and we are letting them play, and it's all about, not
Rules
bending
and
to their
and
will,
and
but yeah,
controlling, and
exactly.
yes.
But we give all of our time, energy, and effort to them, to help raise them, to build them up, etc. And then, they get to an age where they are a little bit more independent. You have the free time to circle back to yourself, and you're like, well, what do I do with that time and energy and effort now? Like, you feel almost a little bit lost, right? Like, I feel like that's so often what we hear,
Yeah.
is that people kind of go, well, the kids are doing their own thing now. What do I do with myself? Because so long we, you were there caring for them, or you were there, nurturing them, and being present for them. And then they need you a little bit less and a little bit less, a little bit less. It means that eventually you're going to have more time for you. How do you fill that time? And I always encourage people to go back and fill the time with what fills your cup. And if you can get back into to re-exploring what you enjoyed and what you were doing in your earlier stages, pre-children, or going back to that playful element, like you were saying, because you're so right. Like, pole and aerials, it is playful. It's so
Yeah.
playful. And even pole itself, like, so many people go, oh, well, I'm not sexy, or it's, that seems a bit too daunting, etc. And it's like, it's just about exploring yourself and your expression.
I'm
that's all
so
it is.
glad you
Like,
touched upon that.
doesn't
Yeah,
it doesn't
because I
have to be
wanted to say,
sexy. It doesn't
no,
have to be
no,
sexy. Yeah, like
it's
we have
just touching.
ballet-based aerials. Sorry, pole as well,
Yeah.
and yeah. So yeah, continue. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, 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 I cut you off. It was about, for me, it was about connecting to my own
Hmm.
femininity because, again,
Hmm.
late in life, the body changes, hormones change, your mental state changes,
Yes.
and maybe even your relationship changes.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
happens to women late in life as well. And, relationship with partners, with kids,
Yeah.
everything. And you don't know who you are and you do not feel attractive or
Hmm.
sexy or anything like that. And that helps. Again, you don't have to do it the way some
No.
people do, but it
Agreed.
is a good way of dropping into the body. Yeah, because we're
Yes.
so out, we're so here, overthinking constantly, and just being confronted with a mirror or an instructor in front of you, and just do some basics. So I do love pole dance class. I do. They're not challenging at all. So for those who just want to explore, that's a good way
Yes.
to
They're
get
a
into
good
that.
entry. They're a good entry level.
Yeah, to just have
And
fun, have a bit of
yes,
a
agreed. And
dance.
explore yourself and not take yourself too seriously. That's the one thing I say when I'm teaching like a pole class and an aerial class, also a pole class. I'd be like, don't take yourself too seriously. Just have fun. I promise you, you do have the mirrors. We're blessed at Divas. We have like mood lighting. So we call it flattery lighting. No one wants to be off in, stark white lighting and like so we have a lot of mood lighting and dimmer lighting. So it's designed to make you like for you to feel flattering in that lighting. But I often say people feel intimidated and they're like, oh, we've got giant mirrors and everyone's watching me. Are you watching anyone else in that class? No, because if you're not watching anyone else, they're not watching you. So I always say this, I'm like, no one's watching you in that mirror but you. Your eyes are on yourself in the mirror or on me. I next to even myself. My eyes are on, to be honest, still to this day when I'm doing my own training, my eyes are on me. They're not even on the instructor, or they might be an instructor. I'm not watching what the person in front of me or next to me is doing. I'm focusing on me. Yeah.
The only time you may follow because you forgot what's the next move.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, that's the next. But
Yes,
there is
exactly.
no kind of
No.
watching anyone
But
or anything
exactly,
like
it's
that.
not for like judgmental reasons. It's not for
No.
the reasons that people think. People go, oh, everyone's watching me and judging me and, looking at me in that potentially malicious way. No, no one
No.
is. No one is at all. If anything, if they are looking at you, they're looking at you in admiration or they're looking at you for guidance. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what a blessing to be looked at for guidance in that setting.
Exactly. Yes, and the whole point of starting something new and trying to, I don't like the word trying because you either do or do not, right? So the
That's
question
true.
is like, who am I becoming? When you
Mm,
begin to see yourself as someone who actually values strength, and we joke in my house that we train to be able to get off the couch when we're 80 or 90, because that's a real struggle. Like watch people
exactly.
who
People getting out
haven't
of
done
bed. I
anything.
have,
Yes.
exactly. I have elderly family members, some who have historically been more active than others, and I very much see it now. Those that were not as active and didn't prioritize their bodies and their fitness levels in their perimenopausal stages or in their later lives, later stages, they're the ones that I definitely can see that are, just the basics, sadly, the ones that are struggling to get off the couch or do need help getting out of the chair, getting out of bed. They got to do, that nurse style tuck and roll. Like, yeah.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
all about identity. So if
Mm,
you start valuing that strength and if you start aligning with that person, so this is who I want to become. This is like to keep that
that's what I want.
active image in your mind's eye, right? Then it becomes less about motivation, right? And more about living that
Exactly. It
aligned
becomes part of your
identity.
lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah.
It becomes part of your lifestyle.
Yeah, and every workout, no matter how small, becomes like this little vote for that person that you want to
Agreed.
become, right? And
Yeah.
it's
You
not
never
about
regret it.
perfection. No,
Mm.
no, it's
You never
about
regret. That's why I
building.
always say, I'm like, people go, oh, I don't know if I should or shouldn't go to class. I don't know if I should or shouldn't go to the gym. I don't know if I should or shouldn't go for that walk. And I'm like, well, ever gone and regretted it? Like, yeah, very
Yeah,
rarely. Yeah,
right?
you regret not going. You go, oh, I really could have gone. Yeah, but you never
Yes,
go, oh, I wish I didn't go. I don't
yes.
think I've
And
ever heard anyone say that.
And questions like, what if I can't do this? Yeah, X, Y, Z. And
Yeah.
it, I see it in my practice all the time. A client would ask, what if that doesn't work? They want to have plan A, B, and C. And my question always, the counter question, what if you
What
can
if it
do it?
does? Yeah.
What if it works? Why don't
What
we
if it does?
focus, like
Yeah.
laser focus on the best case scenario,
Hmm.
and we just
Yeah.
do that, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And then we'll go to plan B if we need to, but let's, yeah, focus on plan A.
Yeah. So for someone who hasn't done any exercise whatsoever, not much, yeah, maybe some minimal walking, floor routine at home in front of the TV, on YouTube. So is it absolutely unrealistic to start aerial fitness?
No. No,
No?
I would actually say it's not. Like obviously having a background in something is always helpful. Those are the people that we tend to find that, walk in the room and it's easy for them because they have a history of doing, whatever it was, like their gymnastics based or etc. But you don't have to be at all. I think, like we say, what's the worst that could happen? Go and try it. Go and try it. Yeah, that's how you, it's like people go, I often say this because so, like, we're kind of going back to that question of people say, oh, well, I'm not fit enough to do that, or I'll do it when I'm fitter, etc. I'll be like, well, like, or be like, oh, yeah, they doubt themselves, they make the excuse, etc. Those are the people that I often say to them, I'd be like, well, do you go to the gym when you're fit or do you go to the gym to get fit? Right? So the same rules apply in this. Like you'd be like, just try it. Just try it. What's the worst that could happen? You try a couple of classes and go, okay, that was fun, or it wasn't for me. And I'll need to find something else for my own journey, and another outlet. But no, I definitely don't think you need any prior experience. A good instructor, and I will always try, as a business owner, I will always try and put my most experienced staff, or like those are the most nurturing, all my really good staff on the beginners. Not to say that I don't do that for the elite guys, but we tend to find the beginners are the ones that need the most nurturing. They need the most, out of their instructor. The instructor is the one that needs to be able to pick and to kind of go, all right, well, this skill isn't coming naturally to you. How can I help you further achieve that skill? And that's going to come from my more experienced instructors, being able to to do that. So we will always make sure that we give you something that is achievable. Yeah. Well, at least that's me in
Amazing.
my classes. I will always
Yes.
make sure I'll be like, we need to make sure, like, it's our job to make you have fun, right? So it's our job to make you walk out there feeling fabulous, incredible, etc. So we will tailor accordingly. We will make sure, all right, like, and I've had those weeks where I've gone to a girl, I'll be like, you know what? I can see that they're struggling with some of those more challenging items that have been in that week. And so I'll give them something special to do. I'll be like, I'm going to teach you specifically something, and it's going to be, you're the only one that I'm teaching this today. And it is because, I want them to walk away with something that I know is achievable for them. And then that's what I congratulate them on at the end of the class. That's what we high five. That's the one where I go, take your videos, take your photos of it. Like, let's get your camera out. Let's have a look at this particular thing, and or let's revisit that, etc. So a good instructor for me, I use that term loosely, like, even bad instructors, I would hopefully do it, but like any instructor should be tailoring to you. And the good
Yes.
instructors will tailor to you. They will make sure that they give you something achievable. Like no one wants,
Yes.
we're not here to set you up to fail. We never wanted to be that. Like we all started as students ourselves, and even myself, my own journey, I struggled because I am naturally hypermobile. I'm a contortionist by trade as well, and I've always struggled to build strength. So people go, oh, your journey must have been so easy, because I also had a dance background, but no, it was not easy. I had periods there in intermediate where I was there for a whole year. um Same with, like, the next level, I was in that level for a whole year. And people, yeah, because I did have my own challenges, and everyone will have their own challenges in their classes.
Can
But
we
I
just
think as
stop
long,
there? A
yeah,
person with an amazing background, a lot of training, stayed on a level for a
yeah,
year. Yeah. And we expect
mm-hmm,
ourselves who, don't
to
have
just,
any experience to cruise through. It just doesn't happen, right?
it's not
If we want it to be
realistic.
safe, if we want
Yes, yes.
long-term success, right? It just has to be slower.
It has to be. Agreed. It
Yeah,
has to be consistent. It has to be achievable because, yeah, like I said at the very start, when people fly through it too quickly, that's when I feel to the guys that get injured because they haven't built the muscles to support themselves when I
the
am giving them
technique.
something, the
Yeah,
technique
technique and
exactly to, for
muscles.
the,
Yeah,
yeah, for the high level trick. They're little, yeah, they're just not ready for
yeah,
it. They're not
yeah.
ready for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very mindful of the time
Oh,
now,
that's
and
all
I
right.
just want
Yeah.
to kind of say that it is possible, even if you haven't had any training,
Hmm.
any background in exercising, it is possible to start
Yeah.
anything that is fun for you, right? And explore that with the right guidance. The guidance is important there. Just
The
don't go
guidance is
and
so
just hang
important.
there and do whatever, right? It's just not
Exactly.
the right way to do that.
Agreed.
And I just want to circle back to what we talked about at the start about the grip strength, about
Mm,
um, physically demanding exercise. So, something fascinating normally happens when we do something physically demanding. The body kind of sends signals like muscles burn and our grip begins to fatigue and heart
hmm.
rate climbs and all this discomfort. Like, for example, if we hang from a lyra or, with silks, and the suffering often comes less from the physical stuff. It comes from here, from the mind. The mind
Hmm.
says, okay, I can't. I need to let go. And it's so hard and I'm going to fail. They're doing it. I can't do it. And I need to
Yeah.
stop. So all this inner conversation that is happening while you're even like doing a dead
Yeah.
hang, right?
Yeah. And it will
That
be
we
the
do as
longest,
well.
like 3 seconds of your life, right? Because you're
Yeah.
having this conversation in your
Yeah.
head.
And the mind
Mm.
starts to interpret that very temporary discomfort as danger, right?
Yeah.
Like when we're completely unsafe, right? But we're safe. We know that we're safe. But because of that internal
Mm.
conversation, the body will interpret it differently and it tries to protect us by
Agreed.
persuading us to
It's
quit.
that's its job. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's kind of that um, mindset aspect to that and learning to recognize that in a dialogue within ourselves. And that's kind of my job to speak to the clients about that internal struggle,
Mm.
that it's not really the physical, it's the mind aspect. And, without automatically believing it. So we have that dialogue and we can believe it that, we're failing and we're weak or we can not believe it.
Push through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And keep going and next week,
Exactly.
the next week. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
and very
Like
often
I
it
say, what's the worst thing that could happen? Be like, you put your feet on the floor. If that's the worst thing that happened, that's okay. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's like, Mel, it's even like mindfulness sort of
Mm.
while exercising.
Hmm.
Like the question becomes, can I stay present, like with this
Yeah.
discomfort for a bit? Not meaning that I'm weak, but just, building
Yeah.
up my strength, just another
Yeah. And
couple of
my
seconds.
resilience. Yeah.
Yeah. Without, catastrophizing the
Yeah. Yes.
context. Yeah.
Yes.
And kind of replacing that I can't with not yet, next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
What if I can?
Mm.
So I'll see what happens next time. And when repeatedly we offer that possibility of growth, the body often surprises us. And it's amazing to have the facilities that you have. You put a lot of finances and effort and time into
Yeah.
that. It takes a lot to take that
It
business off the
does. But
ground.
yeah, and I will say as well, I think it also takes a community though. So I will say, I can build the building itself. I can put up the structure and I can be like, open the doors and go, come on in. But it's got to be, yeah, the community I think is what makes us and Divas so special is that everyone is so supportive and everyone is so nurturing and cheers everyone and on. It's not we are a female-led community and we are predominantly women, and with that it's so often they kind of go, oh, it's going to be bitchy or it's going to be compare lots of comparing and lots of yeah, it's just really not. Like when women support women, beautiful things happen and we tend to find that happens all the time.
Yes, it is a very non-judgmental place
Mm,
indeed. And before I let you go, Mel, can you
yeah.
just tell us where people can find you, physically and online?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are Pole Aerial Divas Ringwood. We are based at 36 New Street, Ringwood, which is just around the corner from the Costco or Eastland, if you're familiar with the area. You can find us on Instagram as well. Our is pad.ringwood, Ringwood. And on Facebook as well, if you just type in Pole Aerial Divas Ringwood. But yeah, just give us a Google. Even if you go to the Pole Divas website, which is www.poledivas.com.au, toggle across over to Ringwood or any of the studios or any of the locations. And yeah, that's where you'll find little old us and little old me.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It was
Yeah,
so much
that's
fun to chat to
okay.
you.
This was so fun. Thank you so much for having me. I could talk for hours and hours about this. Because yeah, as you can see, I'm very passionate about it. But yeah, for everyone, just have fun, do your thing, enjoy it, and yeah, building muscle. Like it is really, really important. You're so right, Julia. Like it is really important to do it now. Do it now. Otherwise, if you kick the can, it's only going to get harder. And at the end of the day, what are you waiting for?
That's right. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mel.
What are you waiting for? All right.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you.